All right, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a simple 4-note square pattern. It's a little shape that can completely change the way that you play guitar. Now I know that that's a bold statement, but it really did change the way that I played when I discovered this, and I realized that I can just move that square around, and depending on where I move it, I can be playing major or minor pentatonic scale. And so everything that I played in the intro, that little demonstration, was all played using this square pattern, just moving it around in different spots. So we're going to go through all the lesson material in this video and cover everything about that square and how to use it. If you'd like to get the extra materials, the MP3 jam track, the tablature for the intro piece, all of those extra things, you can get those by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP489. Okay, I should start off and just mention this guitar. I know somebody's going to have a question about it. This is a guitar that's new to me. I've had it for about a week now. I ordered it about a year ago, but it came in last week, and I've just been so happy with it. This is a wide sky. This is the P125 model, and I wanted specifically the non-cutaway. So Patch is the builder that builds these, and he just does a fantastic job. This thing is beautiful. It sounds great. It's light. It's small. It's a short scale guitar. So you got that going for you, which I like. I kind of prefer that. But you can get a cutaway or a non-cutaway version, and there's some different pickup configurations, I think. Anyway, these are P90s, and this thing is just, it plays as good as it sounds. It's just beautiful. So that's what the guitar is. And you can go online, go on Instagram. I know you can just look up Wide Sky Guitars, or go to Google and look it up and go to his website if you're interested in learning more about that. All right, so let's start off and talk about this little square pattern. And this song that I played, the song that I played in the intro, was a real fun, upbeat, kind of bluesy sort of jam, and it's played in the key of B. And so why did I pick the key of B? I don't know. It seems like everything we've been doing lately has been either the key of G or A. I just wanted to find a different key. So I wrote the jam track in the key of B, and it's also sort of right in the middle of the neck, so I thought that that would work for us. But when I played the lead for that, I was playing in the key of the song. Now that's completely different than what we learned last week. Last week's lesson was EP488, and we talked about playing chord changes. So that means every time there's a new chord in the song, you change the scale to match the chord. In this case, though, however, when you're playing good old pentatonic blues, you stay, for the most part, you just stay in the key of the song. So if the song's in the key of B and there's a lot of chords that are going by, you don't worry about those chords, you just stay in the key of the song. So that means I'm either playing the B major or the B minor pentatonic scale. And depending on which of those I use, I'll get a happier sound or a bluesier sound. That's why you would switch between them. And I'm going to demonstrate all of that as we get into this. But the first thing we need to do is we need to find our parameters. So we're playing in the key of B, and here's a little trick to do this. This is how I think of it. You're going to use your pinky, and you're going to find your B note on the first string. So that's going to be up here on the 7th fret. And the reason I'm using my pinky is because I'm going to come down here, I'm going to go 3 frets down to the 4th fret, and I'm going to play that with my index finger. I now have the parameters to play my major pentatonic scale. This would be the good old pattern 1. It's a shape that we're all familiar with, and it works for major or minor pentatonic scale. The pattern does anyway. And this is what it looks like for B. So that's my B major pentatonic scale, and my B note is played with my pinky. So here's what's cool about this shape is now if I take that same B note, but I play it with my index finger, and then I put my pinky up here on the 10th fret and play that same pattern, that same shape, I'm now playing the B minor pentatonic scale. Now I know a lot of you already know that, but that's the B minor pentatonic scale. This is the B major pentatonic scale. And you can see that both of them share this B note. So that's just an easy way to get from your major pentatonic scale to your minor, or back and forth, and find this little fence here that lives between the two neighbors. You can think of it that way. And they're always 3 frets apart. So if you've got a lick then in your major pentatonic scale, see how happy it sounds in reference to a B? If I took that same little lick and I played it up 3 frets, I'd be playing B minor pentatonic scale. Has a much more sad or serious kind of bluesy sound. Okay, So those are our parameters that we're working within, but we're just going to find these 4-note squares that live inside of these pentatonic patterns. And this is going to just make it even that much easier. We're not going to be worrying about all these notes. So let's go back to our B major pentatonic scale for starters, and we're going to walk down to this note. Now this note, 4th fret 3rd string, is another B note. It's just an octave below this one. So now you have this B note and you have this B note, 4th fret 3rd string. Now we're going to let this note that we're playing with our index finger be the top left corner of our little box. So here's what the box looks like. So it's frets 6, 4 on the 3rd string, 6, 4 on the 4th string. And you can see it makes, like, if you were to visualize it, it makes a little box. To me, it's really more of a rectangle, but I just call it a square to make it, I don't know. It's easier to describe it that way. But that's what it is. It's a little square, and the top left corner of that square, or rectangle, is your B note. So that's where you kind of land for the most part. You can always safely land there since we're playing a song in the key of B, and it's going to work. You can kind of wrap up your lick on that note. You don't always have to do that, but that's a safe place to land. So that's our first box, and you can see that it lives inside of B major pentatonic scale pattern 1. Just wanted to start with that so you know where we're at, so that you're not just guessing at, where does this thing live. It lives inside of B major pentatonic scale pattern 1. Now just like this B note was the top left corner of the box, if I come up to this B note, it's the top left corner of the same box, same major pentatonic scale box. It's just played an octave higher. So now I have one here and one down here. It's the B major pentatonic scale in both cases. Another little thing to know about this box is on the top right corner of the box, and when I'm saying top, I'm saying from my vantage point here, that top right corner, you can do a bend there. You can do a full bend, which is going up 2 frets, or a half bend. And there's reasons to do a half bend, reasons to do a full bend. I'm going to demonstrate that as we get into this. But just know that that's the bendable note. That's the obvious bendable note. So you have, there's my B note, and then this note can be bent. Same is true then with this box. So we have our B major pentatonic scale box here, and then down here. And you have a note to kind of connect those two. Right underneath this little box, right in the middle of it, on the 3rd string, so it'd be the 8th fret 3rd string, you have that note. So you can now go and then come down here. And really, that right there has given you all the notes you could ever use in your lifetime. You could make an endless amounts of solos and leads and ideas just from that. I know that seems like a crazy thing to say, but it's true. Like, you could play forever with that, especially knowing that I can shift everything we just learned there up 3 frets and be doing the same thing but minor pentatonic scale. And I can go back and forth between the two. I'm going to demonstrate all this as we get into it. But you've got your major pentatonic scale box, lower box, and upper box. Just think of it that way. Now, here's what's cool. So we're going to get the minor pentatonic scale equivalents of what we just learned. Let's come back to our major pentatonic scale box up here. We're going to take that same box and we're going to move it down. So we're going to start with that B note. We're going to go down 1, 2 strings. So we're going to be on the same fret, 7th fret, but we're going to be on the 3rd string, playing that note. And now watch this. We have the same box on the same frets there, but we're just on a different set of strings. Now we're on strings 4 and 3. So what this is this is your minor pentatonic scale. And you can see it's right below your major pentatonic scale box, which is up here. Now, when you're playing a minor pentatonic scale, the B note, in this case, when we're in our minor pentatonic scale, is our ring finger on the bottom right corner of the box. So remember, when we were playing major pentatonic scale, we were on the upper left-hand corner. When we're playing this box, we're in the bottom right corner. So you're going to resolve to that note instead. So that's the difference. So if we're in this box, there's our note, there's our B note that we can resolve to. If we're playing our minor pentatonic scale, we can resolve to this note. Hopefully you can hear that. You can hear the difference. And just like in your major pentatonic scale, how you had the lower and upper box, you have the same thing for your minor pentatonic scale. There's your lower, therefore your upper would be up here. So that would be between the 10th fret and the 12th fret on your 2nd string and 1st string. And just like in our major pentatonic scale box where our top right corner was bendable, the same is true with our minor pentatonic box. You can bend the lower one or the upper one. Just remember, when you land on a note, the safe note to land on would be that B note, which is in the bottom right corner of your minor pentatonic box. Okay, so we have the jam track playing in the background, and now I'm just going to jump in and start improvising using these boxes, these square shapes that we talked about. I'm going to start with the first one we looked at, the B major pentatonic scale. And just keep in mind that it doesn't matter what the chords are. There's a lot of chords in this. It goes from the B chord to the E. This turnaround has a bunch of chords. There's a little diminished chord in there, but it doesn't matter. I just stay in the key of the song, which means I can go major or minor, and it doesn't matter when. So watch this. We'll start with this first box. I'm just staying right down in this, little 4-note box, and notice a lot of the time I'm returning back to that B note, that top left corner. Now let's come up to this second one, the higher version of that same scale. So notice also that I don't have to go to the minor pentatonic scale at all. That's just an option for me, but this is what I love about staying in the key of a song, is I can dial in whatever I want. Right there, I was just playing major pentatonic scale for everything. So I wasn't trying to, throw in any of the minor pentatonic scale stuff. I was also doing a half bend. There's in certain spots. So there's a full bend. Notice that over the 4 chord, which is your E note, that E chord, I was doing a half bend. When you go to the 1 chord, I do a full bend. So I'm bending up to the major 3rd of the chord when you do a full bend. Which is, when you're playing your B chord, it's that third, the 3rd interval, the 3rd note in your major scale. But if you do a half bend, that works over your 4 chord. So when it goes to the E chord, I do a half bend right there. That's just another little thing you'll learn over time, when, how hard to bend, and just use your ear as a guide. But just know, you know which note you can bend, which is that top right corner. So just experiment with, do I do a full bend, do I do a half bend? And your ear will kind of pull you into the right direction with that, if you've got a good ear, and hopefully you do if you're learning how to improvise. Okay, so now we can come back down into that minor pentatonic scale. Now I can go back to major. It doesn't matter when. But notice I landed on that B note, the bottom right corner. When we're playing in the minor pentatonic scale, your root note is in the bottom right corner of that square. Right there. Now to me, the minor pentatonic scale sounds a bit too extreme to just stay in that. That's just a taste thing. It does not matter. There's no right answer. I like to hear more major pentatonic stuff, more of that major pentatonic boxes with a little bit of the minor mixed in. To me, that's kind of the perfect blend. If I was cooking and these are my ingredients, that's the taste I like. Now right here I'd go slide into minor, back to major. Notice I ended there on the minor. Just to blues it up at the end, and then we can go back to major. But hopefully that gives you some ideas for, the fact that I'm using those boxes, basically that little square. I'm playing an upper version and a lower version, just depending on the octave that I choose. And I'm playing major or minor, and I can dial in the sound that I want. All right, so now that you have that information and we've gone through a demonstration just now, let me back up and play the intro piece one more time. It's only 30-something seconds long, so just watch through that, but you're gonna have a different understanding of where those notes come from. You'll be able to watch my fingers and understand, oh, okay, so he's in that box or he's in that box. Everything I played was really from those boxes. I didn't go outside of them, but I just wanna do that. I think that's a good way to sort of recap everything that we've gone through. First time you heard it, it might have sounded complicated or daunting, but now that you understand, it's really just this major and minor pentatonic scale thing, using this little square shape, moving it around. It's not so hard, and it's something you can do. Now, some of those things like vibrato and how accurate you are when you bend, those things come over time. It's just it's muscle memory. But other than that, the knowledge, you've got it now. And you should be able to take this jam track and just start working with it. If you appreciate this video, if you liked it, if you learned something, leave a comment. I always appreciate it when you do. If you've got questions, leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for something new.